Hey guys, welcome back to Grace Chilled Families. Welcome back to the second week of team training,
Yeah.
where you're going to learn 3 simple steps to how to train your child.
Yeah, awesome. Last week we had a bit of a deep dive into Proverbs 22:6, which says, "Train up a child in the way they should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it."
Amen. The simple steps that we're going to cover today are training skills, behaviors, processes, can train anything really. You're probably already doing it actually, but stick around and find out more.
So this method is actually a method that I've picked up from my teacher training. It's the I do, we do, you do model. And it's a 3-step model. And you know what? You're probably already doing it, but putting words to it and knowing the process is always really simple. And it's really simple because the parent shows the behavior, you then do it with the kid, and then they do it themselves. It's that simple. Our kids are perfectly trained because of this method. No, it's something that you have to continue to do.
Absolutely.
Training a child is a lifelong endeavor, and let's do it. So we're going to have a look into the I do more.
Absolutely, yeah. So first step, I do. So I do it. It's pretty self-explanatory in some ways. Is that I do it and I actually demonstrate the behavior to the children. So I just demonstrate what I want them to learn. It
Hmm.
takes time. It can't be done in a rush, and sometimes it needs to be done lots of times over and over because for skills and behavior to become, you know, a a thing that they can then demonstrate themselves, they have to be shown it lots of time. And you're actually probably doing that without realizing it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it can be skills you might not want them to learn as well. For example, if I yell a lot and then my kids yell a lot, I can't then just go say, don't yell. That's not how we act if I do that as well. So sometimes we might actually show them things that we don't
Hmm.
want them to behave, the ways we don't want them to behave. So we have to be and really watch that. But yeah, basically it's about I do. It's about they're watching what they're learning from you, what you're doing it, and then they're going to mimic that behavior. And you're the number one influence in your children's lives. So they're watching you, they watch everything you do.
Yeah.
It's actually amazing sometimes what our kids might say or do, and I was like, oh, that's such a me comment, or or that's such a dad thing to do, or things like that, because they're constantly watching us. So this is a really cool opportunity. I do it, I show them what I want them to do, and then they follow me.
Yeah. But it's super important to remember that our children have extremely short attention
Yeah,
spans. It's approximately twice their age. All right. So if you've got a 3-year-old, that you get their attention for about 6 minutes, which isn't a long time before they need a break. Okay. So remember, if you got little kids, keep your instructional time pretty short. The older they get, you get a little bit more time with them. You might notice as your kids get older, they'll spend more time learning something from you in the kitchen or the shed or out in the garden or whatever it might be, because they've got that longer attention span.
also the amount of words you say in those times for a 3-year-old will be different to a 10-year
Yeah.
old. So not just the amount of time that they can learn from you, but also what you actually say to them in those times. I know even with our kids, sometimes the younger ones, you just see that they've switched
Yeah,
off.
switch off. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, keep what you got to say short according to their age.
Yeah, yeah. And we had a moment where we'd planted a whole bunch of plants in our outside area, trying to make it a bit nicer and a bit more
I
relaxing.
love plants.
Yeah, Nicole loves them. They're behind us. Um, and we asked one of the kids, "Could you water the plants?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll water the plants." And we spent a whole day doing this, right? And so that particular kid went and got the hose, turned it on full, turned the trigger nozzle to blast, and went around and blasted the plants, like absolutely sending soil everywhere. Uh, Kind of what made it harder. They were super proud of what they'd done and how they'd followed the instructions and watered the plants. They were all back to bare root with sweeping. Anyway, um, the problem there was that we didn't actually teach that child how to water a
Yeah.
plant. And so the I do step is super important because we can't actually expect our kids to know how to do something if they haven't done it. They haven't been in the world as long as us. They haven't had the instruction that they need. And so it's important. I know we got really frustrated in that moment, which wasn't the right thing to do, because we're actually the ones that should have shown him what to do, rather than just assume that that's what that he knew. So it's important that we're gentle and kind and gracious towards our kids, and that we actually take the time in a calm environment to show them what to do.
Yeah, sometimes it might just seem so obvious to us, but
Yeah.
what we've discovered is that it's actually, you can never have assumed knowledge with the kids if you haven't taught them first. So one basic example for the I do is cutting vegetables. I love to get our kids to help with cooking and training and teaching them how to cook in the kitchen. Steve's a really good cook as well, and so he loves to teach them as well. But just cutting up vegetables, it's really important. I do it first. I show them how to hold the knife. I show them where to put your fingers so you don't cut your fingers. And you first chop them before you give them the knives, because A, it's a safety thing, but B, they need to be shown again and again and again. You've got to show them. You've got to do it for them first so that they can watch you.
So the second step is the we do phase, and this is where you drill in the desired behaviour together. We do it over and over together, and then they'll get it. That's the goal. They get it, and then they go into the you do stage. It's their turn to practice it, and it's your job to provide like a calm, a safe, open space for them to repeat the skill or the behaviour until they can complete it on their own. This is a stage where every stage, embracing failure is really, really important. Embracing the fact that they won't get it, that they're going to struggle with it, encouraging like that growth mindset in them as they're struggling with a skill and they're not getting it at first. Being ready to respond when they do fail, when they do the wrong thing in the we do stage is really important. And also acknowledging when it's time just to stop the training, because you might be frustrated, they might be frustrated. It's not helping anyone at that point in time. And so it's important to know to stop.
Yeah. I guess the key in this part is being present and also being wise in that moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like teaching them to ride a bike. Like that's a complex skill. Balance, pedaling, brakes, which is always the scariest moment when they're heading down a hill and you got their brakes. They do get it from time to time. But yeah, running, you start by a we do approach. You're with them. You're helping them with the balance. You're sort of pushing them along, and then it goes from that to you're holding their seat, and they're getting it, and usually it's actually our fear that stops us from letting go earlier. But then as you hold their seat and they're getting ready, you get to the point where you're like, I'm going to let you go. And they start to ride, but you're still running with them, aren't you? You're still running to make sure if they fall, hopefully you can catch them, or you can tell them to brake, or whatever it might be. So you're still with them. And that's the we do stage, but it gets to a point where they're riding their bike in a you do stage, but the we do is being there with them. It's the scaffolding, yeah. So it's the holding, to the holding a seat, to the running alongside, being ready to catch them when they fall.
Yeah. I guess another key in the we do stage is also to just really stay calm, to stay positive, and boundless patience.
Yeah.
Boundless patience is one of our family values, and let's be honest, I actually struggle with patience sometimes, but I'm trying really hard.
Yes.
But in the we do stage, it's really vital to stay patient and to stay calm, because I have even discovered in our own family that if I get frustrated too quickly, they give up and they don't want to keep doing it. And so it's really important to try and stay calm, try and stay patient, particularly with little ones, or even with the old ones, teenagers even, who don't actually want to be learning it, or it's really boring, or for something like tidying your room or picking up toys or something, it's fairly boring really. But keep going with them, keep being patient, keep being positive, keep being calm. And another thing you can do is to keep it fun.
Yeah.
We love fun. Look, Steve and I love laughing. It's one of our just something I laugh a lot. But keeping it fun, making it a game. Sometimes we put, for pack up, we put on music, see if we can beat the music, things like that. But you're doing it with them. You're teaching them how to pack up, and but in that you're still winning. You're still getting it packed up, but you're doing it in a fun way. So keeping it fun can be really a really cool way. And other thing is rewards. Sometimes it's really great to not necessarily do it for a reward, but just to randomly reward them afterwards. Well done, I loved how you did that. In our family, we use marbles, and we have a marble system. And when they get 10 marbles, for good listening or something like that, whatever skill that we're trying to teach them at the time, we're like, I loved how you listened to them. That was great. So we put a marble in, and then once they get to 10, they get, a lolly snake or something. But rewards are a great way too, not to bribe them, but to reward them.
Yeah, we're really intentional that it's not like, hey, if you do that, you'll get a marble. But it's like, hey, I noticed that you did this, and so therefore have a marble rather than a way of bribing and manipulating behaviour. It's a way of rewarding good behaviour. So they might do the same thing 3 times, and only once do we actually comment and give them a marble, because we also don't want to train them that if you listen every time you're going to get a reward, because it's just an expectation that you listen. That's just what you do.
Yeah, and we want to be doing life with them. We want to be teaching them things and teaching them how to do it. And so, keeping it fun, keeping it simple.
Yeah, we do. The hard part about this stage is it can take a very long time, sometimes even more than the I do stage. It depends
definitely more than
definitely more. It's actually a stage that you are regularly revisiting, particularly if it's character building, like listening, what can I think of another character? Following instructions, that sort of thing. Being kind. We're constantly having to show them this each and every day. So it can take a long time.
And sometimes if it's a practical thing, like how to cook, you might just show them the cutting up the veggies first, and then get them to do that bit before you go into the next step about putting in the pan or something like that. So it can take steps, it can take time as you work together.
Yeah. So for example, like putting my clothes in the wash, Nicole is still doing this for me. I'm terrible. Or putting my shoes away. So that's bad I do on my part to the kids. But it's important. Repetition is incredibly important for memory formation, okay? For forming our young people to be amazing big people, to be trained up in the ways of the Lord. It takes repetition in order to develop the pathways in their brains to know what they're supposed to do in different circumstances.
It can sometimes take forever with putting clothes away.
And you'll feel like a broken record. You'll feel like you're just going around in circles. But there are definitely moments of breakthrough when you persist and keep going. And if you keep your expectations high and you keep them where they need to be for your family, and you don't adjust them just because a kid's finding it hard or whatever, but you coach them through it to get to the expectations, that's when you'll see more of the reward.
Yeah.
So keep your cool, keep calm, make it fun, make it a good experience. And don't ever forget that every child is different.
Yeah.
Every child learns differently. The same outcome for 2 different children, the process to get to it can look different, and that's okay.
All right, so we've had I do, we do. Last step is
you do.
This is the most exciting step, and the most nerve-wracking at times too. But it's exciting because you can see growth in your child. And coming back to that proverb, 22:6, train your children in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. And this is part of it. And this can be with any skill, but it can also be in the ways of the Lord as well. We want to show them Jesus. We want to work, work on spending time with him, show them how to spend time with him, work on that together. And then we just want them to fly. We want them to fly in their faith. We want them to fly in any skills in life. So
it's important with spiritual practices, isn't it? We value worship. And so they often see worship within our home. That's the I do. And then there's times where we pull together as a family. Maybe something's happened, or maybe it's just we want to worship God on a Sunday morning or whatever it might be. And we pull together and we do the we do. And then the I do, the you do, is when you hear them singing in the shower and you hear the worship of God in the shower, or Bible reading's the same. When you come out and, one of them's sitting on the couch reading their Bible, like, it's just awesome. This is the flying stage. It also is a nervous stage sometimes.
Absolutely. Like, for example, Seth, our fourth child, he recently learned to ride a pedal bike. And, we had shown him how to do that in the I Do. We had done the We Do where, you're holding him or you're holding the back of his T-shirt as he's pedaling. And then he was ready to then do it on his own and go down hills.
And he's very stubborn. We probably didn't think he was ready. He knew he was ready. We didn't fully trust him.
He really wanted to. And I went for a walk with him one day, and he was, because he's now pedaling, he was like in front of me, but then we're having to go down a hill. I was petrified. And the hill was quite big too, but he nailed it. It was so cool. He was like, Mum, I can do this. And he broke the whole way down, and he was so successful at it. And it was just like, heart in my mouth type, like, opportunity experience, I guess. But he got it. And so that was exciting. It was the You Do. All right, yep, you can do this, buddy. And like, I had to be really careful to close my mouth and not say, oh, be careful, or don't do this, or don't do this. I just had to say, yep, you can do it. Being positive, encouraging him, you can do this. And it's a great feeling when you can see them succeed. But it's a time that you need to then step back. You need to let them fly with that skill. And it's also a time to watch them succeed, but also the likelihood is that they might fail. And so if they do, to be there to pick them up, to gently guide them, in the bike scenario, he falls over, I pick him up, I give him a cuddle. All right, get on back on, you can do it again. But yeah, it's about being there to gently guide them and reminding them that failure is the next step to success.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you have to fail to succeed. So let them do it on their own.
Yeah, I think it's important in your family to build a culture where failure's okay, where it's not something to be ashamed of, it's not something to be guilty of. That when you do fail at something, even if it's big, like, you want your kids to be able to come to you when they've done something really dumb, like go out to the city and get drunk, and you need to be there to be the ones to support them. They know the behaviour's not within the expectations, it's not within what we do, it's not in our values. But for them to know that it's actually okay to fail, because failure is what propels us forward into success. And we want to build a culture in our family where some failures are celebrated. It is the going for the bike ride, falling off. Wow, we're going to celebrate the fact that you tried, even though it was hard. So sometimes it's celebrating failure, and sometimes it's just being there to help guide them through like a messy situation that isn't nice. But you want to be the ones that are there. Yeah. You want to be the ones that they go to and the ones that are able to guide them. So it is important to remember training your children isn't necessarily neat. It's not always a set and forget. I mean, something like tying your shoelaces should be, okay, once they get it, they should be able to do that for life. But other things like character things, like teaching them to be kind or loving, or even like we talked about worship or Bible reading, it's something that it goes in and out even in our lives, how we keep up our practices. And so it's going to be the same for them. So it's not a neat set and forget. And it's important as parents to hold your values close to you, to keep reminding your children of them, and to be working in those values so that the training is happening and it's moving forward. And so you're going to constantly be switching between the I do, we do, you do stages for some things, and that's good. Listening is one. Our kids, it comes down to obedience as well. Our kids are pretty good, I think. But there are definitely times where we have to go, whoa, family meeting time. All right, what is going on today? How are we doing this? Let's remind us, what are our values? How do we do this? And so it's usually those moments where you feel like you're the perfect parents and everything's going well, that boom, it comes crashing down and you get back to training.
Because we're never the perfect parents.
We're never perfect parents. We don't profess to be. But yeah, training, be prepared for that. And it's important in those moments to respond rather than react, because response brings about change, reaction brings about disconnection and makes it harder to bring things back. Anyway, that's a much bigger blog. We'll probably do that at some stage, talking about connection, reacting and responding. Anyway.
So the you do is letting them fly, letting them do it on their own. But in those times, to be that calm anchor for your child and to celebrate when they succeed, but just be that calm anchor, because we're all human. Us as adults, I forget things, I get things wrong, I lose my way. And, part of training them is after you've shown them, you've done it together, you let them do it, but you just be there. You be the one to be gentle, to guide them back on course. Yeah.
So if you've stuck with this video, if you've got to the end here, thank you and well done. You clearly want to be an intentional parent, a parent that trains their kid for the long haul. And that's what our society needs. We need more families that are connected, that follow their values, and that move forward, because these kids are going to be adults one day, and they need to be trained how to be adults from very young ages. They need to be trained. Yeah.
They do.
So thank you for being intentional, for wanting to be a family that is different and that works your kids. We have a bit of a free gift for you on our website. If you follow the link on our YouTube channel, you'll get to our website. It's a 5-day family insight guide, and some of that exploring your values, exploring intimacy as a couple, exploring some of your practices and your liturgies that are there, and working towards what's your mission as a family. So go ahead, grab that. That will also sign you up to our newsletter, so you'll get regular updates of when content comes out. It's not there to spam, but more to just let you know when things are there.
And don't forget to like and subscribe on this channel so that you can keep getting our content each week. But I just want you to know that we are going to be praying for you, and we just pray a blessing over you guys as you continue to train your children in the ways of the Lord, and to be adults. So to get to adulthood.
Lastly, if you've got any training tips, chuck them in the comments so that other people who watch this video can enjoy your wisdom.
Ideas.
The I do, we do, you do is just one of very many ways that you can train your kids. So add it into the comments below so others can learn from what you're doing in this community.
So thanks for listening. Signing out for today, but we'll see you next week.
God bless.
See ya. Bye.